say it feels like it's so hot here too. It's horrible, but stay cool up there.
Well, as I always like to say, better you than us. But in this case, it's both you and us.
That's
so
right.
I'm telling you, I think it's 90% of the U.S. at this point, from what it sounds like. It's pretty bad. So stay hydrated.
Yeah, absolutely. As we sit here at the original Geno's, they keep us pumped with fluids. I'm not going to tell you exactly what those fluids are, but they do take care of us. So that's a good thing.
Good.
Absolutely. Hey, as I was getting ready to have you on the show, I was interested to find out that as far as your early racing career and love of the sport was pretty much non-existent up until you got dragged to a race for the first time. I think that's kind of interesting. Tell me about that story a little bit.
I was actually a sports management major at Clemson University, and I was always a big football fan. I kind of thought maybe I'd like to do something in the NFL or, even college football, maybe PR or something. And I just never really understood NASCAR. I didn't really, have a big passion for it or understand a lot about it. But it was spring break for my girlfriends and I grew up in Myrtle Beach, so what better place to go to spring break than Myrtle Beach? So. And that was when Darlington was around. They used to have it, I think around March or April, remember the first Darlington or whatever, and went down there. And my mom and dad were like, hey, we're going to the race for the weekend, free beer and food. So here's two broke college girls. We're like, shoot, yeah, let's go. So we went, and that was about it, Fell in love with the sport and met Jeremy, and that was kind of all she wrote after that.
Well, I got to believe that, as Jeremy was coming up in NASCAR and finding rides and everything, it was tough for you guys together as a couple, to move through those ranks. And he got, good ride, progressively better rides. And, and of course, everybody knows that, it all came to a screeching halt in 2009. And, the question is did you ever in your mind ever think that your life was going to take the crazy turns that it did in 2009?
Oh, my God, no. I mean, you can never, when you stand at that altar and you say for better or worse, and you really think of what the worst could be, and I think of sickness and health, I really think of those kind of things. And, you never think of such a dramatic and unbelievable turn of events. I mean, it really just kind of, it's like you're living a movie. Like the things that happened and the way things went down, it was just so weird. It was kind of like an out-of-body experience. I mean, it was like, I'll never forget that day and the phone calls and what I had on and the expression on Jeremy's face. It's just like one of those days where, after that day, your whole world is completely different. It's so hard to explain. It's a really weird feeling.
Have you ever wavered at all in your support of your husband and all these things that have gone on? And at some point, some people will say, geez, I just don't know what's happening. Do I really know this person? Have you ever wavered?
Not 1 minute, no. If I hadn't have been with him through every minute of this ordeal and been with him at all the tests he's gone to, and they were all negative, and, even the second NASCAR test, when NASCAR came to our house at 7 o'clock that night, and time they left, we drove straight to Fry Hospital, and within 20 minutes had another test done, and it was completely negative. I have those things, and I've been with him through everything, so I know the truth. And, it's hard for me, and, people on Twitter are like, well, why don't you do this, and why don't you do that? I'm not a billion-dollar company that has this huge PR machine.
Right.
Jeremy and I are doing the best we can to get our story out, and we were hoping it would play out through the court system, and unfortunately it didn't. So, we're anxious for people to, ask questions and, want to know what's going on. But on Twitter, unfortunately, I only have 140 characters. I can't do that. So, it's like I don't waver one bit. And the people around us, our family and our friends, and even some in NASCAR that come out and visit us at, at our place, they know the truth. And, unfortunately, it just shook out the way it did, and it got out of control. And it just, it was an unfortunate situation that, still to this day, I pray every day somehow it can be fixed and, he can get back doing something he loves to do.
People talk about NASCAR being the family that it is. Have people stuck by you and Jeremy, or have you found out who your real friends are in this deal?
we've definitely found out who our real friends are in this deal, that's for sure. And, you know, to their defense, knowing how the sport operates, you know, if they were to publicly support Jeremy, unfortunately, you get a backlash, and unfortunately things happen. And, you know, we've had the calls that, you know, hey, don't, you know, I don't need the media involved, don't let them know I called, you know, I know what's going on type of thing. We've had a lot of calls like that, but a lot of public support, not really, but I kind of understand why.
Is there something in your mind that says, you know, if Jeremy would have just said, yeah, okay, you know, gone along with this thing with NASCAR, gone to rehab like they wanted him to do, even if he had never, you know, even if he had never done what he's been accused of, do you look back and say, you know, what if maybe this would have been the better road to go, the plead guilty and just get it out of the way sort of theory?
You know, I have my days. You know, of course there's good days and bad days and all this. And, you know, some days when I'm really down and upset, you know, and, you know, we're struggling and, you know, that kind of thing, I just sit back and I get a little upset. I'm like, God, if we'd have just done what they said. But then I look at him and I'm like, that's, you know, one day we're going to have a family and we're going to have children and they're going to read all this. And, you know, I'm proud of the fact that he stood his ground, and I'm proud of the fact that he didn't admit to doing something that he didn't do just to pacify somebody. You know, I mean, the fact of the matter is, if he would have admitted he did something he didn't do, the outcome would have been the same because he's going to be labeled. I mean, the damage is done. It's the stigma that's going to stick with him. And, you know, I'm proud of the fact that he fought. You know, unfortunately, it's cost us a lot, you know, in money. It's cost us a lot of heartache, a lot of lost sleep, you know, a lot of stress. But, you know, I think in the big picture of things, I think at the end of the day, he can go to bed at night, and I can too, knowing that, you know, he stood up for himself, and I'm proud of that. Even though there are days where I just get so frustrated, I still feel like, you know, if he'd have gone to their, quote, rehab or done whatever, it would have still been the same outcome, you know?
We're talking to Shana Mayfield. Shana, with as much as NASCAR and auto racing has meant to both you and Jeremy over the years, is there still a fan in the two of you? Do you still follow it? Do you still have an interest in watching what's going on?
You know, I would be lying if I said I did. Now, I think I'll always be a fan of NASCAR racing, and I always, you know, in the back of my mind, I have this idea that Jeremy will be back one day. And, you know, he loves it. He loves racing. He loves the sport of auto racing. He loves NASCAR. There's nothing more than he loves than to get strapped in a race car on Sunday. You know, it's just sometimes politics and people and things get involved, and those are the things that are hard to deal with. And, you know, I still hope maybe we can eventually work this out, you know, and maybe somehow get him back. I don't know. You know, it's just a lot going on. But I am still a fan, and I think he's still a fan too, of course.
Is there, in the back of your mind, in the back of Jeremy's mind, is there a reason that this all happened as far as NASCAR coming down on you guys and the way it was? Was there something that he did to,
or something?
Yeah, was there something he did to piss him off? I'm trying to figure that part out.
I don't know if it's something that Jeremy did to piss him off. I think it was more the fact, you know, that they had been preaching this new, you know, drug. They had the strongest policy in sports, and it was, you know, brand new the year before. And I don't really know. You know, at the time we had our own team. We weren't a cash cow for NASCAR. We weren't, you know, the top. We weren't Hendricks or Childress. You know, we were easily dispensable, I think. But, you know, I don't know if they targeted Jeremy. I don't know. I really don't know, you know, but it's just a lot of things went down that make you wonder why the timing, why what happened. You know, that same weekend that they came down on Jeremy was when Kevin Glove committed suicide, and that was someone that was under Dr. Black's care that was trying to get reinstated. And, you know, that was brought up a lot. I don't know if they were trying to get that PR off of them and push it on something else to show that their policy did work. You know, because at the time we were heading down to Darlington, the MRO calls Jeremy and says, you know, you tested positive for amphetamine, and which he would have because he was taking Adderall. Well, if he had tested positive for methamphetamine, like they had said now, anybody in the right mind would have been like, turn that car around, you're not coming to Darlington, you're done. If don't send me your prescription for meth. It was never methamphetamine. It was amphetamine. Then all of a sudden, we retain an attorney, and because Jeremy's like, I'm not going to lose my career over some medication that was prescribed to me by a doctor and something I took over the counter. And then all of a sudden it turns into methamphetamine. So, I mean, it's just, a lot of little things like that just make you kind of wonder what happened and why it happened. You don't really know.
Well, in the time since then, of course, it hasn't gotten a whole heck of a lot better. I know you guys have had problems with hanging on to the property. I know even you had a crazy lawsuit from a letter carrier as well. It seems to compound itself. I always was told.
Really does.
I always was told never say. I don't know how this could get any worse, because as God looks at you, He'll find a way to make it worse, I guess.
I'll show you.
That.
Yeah,
I'll show you.
You're exactly right. I never say that, because you never know. But I mean, we're still here. We're still together. We're still fighting, and it's bound. I feel like it's bound to get better, and it will eventually, and all this stuff. This too shall pass.
Well, I got to say that. It is very heartwarming, as far as I'm concerned, to know that you and Jeremy are fighting this thing together. I would have to say it'd be very easy to turn on each other, because you've seen it before.
Well, we're big fans of Jeremy as well. Shane, I know this is the first time we've ever had a chance to speak with you, but back when we first started this show 11 years ago, Jeremy was one of the first name drivers we had on as a guest, and had him on more than once, and he was always very gracious, and we're fans. So we're pulling for you guys, and hope it gets better. I'm sure it will. And we really appreciate you joining us on the show today.
Yeah, thanks.
Before I let you go, I wanted to ask you, it seems like you've had more of a presence on Twitter ever since the whole deal with A.J. Allmendinger has kind of come up. Is that by design, or is it just kind of by coincidence that you've been on there a little bit more lately?
I'm definitely, it's not a coincidence. I'm, really watching this, really closely to see how it's handled for him, and to see the outcome, because, it's pretty much the same situation. I feel like, I don't know what he tested positive for, but again, it was a stimulant, and, if they have a zero policy, and zero is zero, either if there's no gray area according to them, and according to Dr. Black, when he talked to Jeremy, they don't make mistakes. So, I'll be anxious. I'll be anxious to see. If he gets reinstated and it's a different deal, then I think that definitely opens the book back up for us, and I think Jeremy should be reinstated. No doubt about it. Because all we asked for from day one. When the judge awarded us our injunction, the judge said the harm done to Jeremy far outweighs the harm done to Mr. Mayfield. The harm done to NASCAR, and there could be a false positive, but unfortunately we won't know, because the B sample's already been tampered with and opened. All we wanted was to be able to have all B samples sent somewhere else, and somewhere else tested, or have someone there when it was tested, and we never got that opportunity. So I think by allowing AJ that luxury of having his attorney and the toxicologist there of his choice is kind of throwing it in our face a little bit too, especially when you're dealing with someone's career and their livelihoods. I think you should take everything into consideration, and they should have considered that for us too.
All right, Shana Mayfield, thanks so much for being with us. We truly appreciate it. As Charlie said, we wish you guys nothing but the best of luck. Hopefully, hang in there. It will get better. And when it does, we'll have you guys back on the show, and we'll talk about the way things should have been and the way they are.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I want everybody to know we're actually, I'm pulling for AJ, and I hope his situation turns out a lot different than ours. I really do.
All right. Thanks so much, Shana. We'll talk to you again.
Thanks.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All right. Shana Mayfield. Tough deal, and